Friday games. We got to talk about all the big games Saturday. We're still going to be missing some of the big games that are going to be going on today and tomorrow. We just kind of wanted to get this out. I will say before we get into this, and I have to eat some of my words from what I said in previous shows, it was a good day for an Arkansas fan. Texas lost, Alabama lost. You know, the only thing that would have been the cherry on top is LSU losing, but that didn't happen. But other than that, kind of how did you feel about week one just as a whole, Justin?
Honestly, I mean, there was a lot of things I felt like people didn't expect. I mean, even games that you were like, they're a game, but you don't really like pay attention to it. Like, and this was a Thursday game, and we're not going to get into it, but like, who expected South Florida to go out and hang up 34-7 against Boise? You know what I mean? Like, so like that's a prime example of like how I felt like the whole weekend went. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Texas Ohio State game, like whatever, like you didn't really know what that game was going to be, but you knew it was going to be close. Nobody expected Florida State to go out and do that against Alabama. Um, Ole Miss was in a nail biter for most of the first half against Georgia State. Nobody expected that. You expected them just to come out and do whatever. Texas A&M was in a nail biter pretty much all the way till the fourth quarter against UTEP. So it's like, and if you're one of the fans where you were very lackluster on like what your team did, the best thing I can tell you is like if like especially the transfer portal, like Georgia State versus Ole Miss, like they have talent from the SEC. Like they brought in transfer guys from SEC programs, so like that team isn't like your Georgia State or your UTEP or all these lower level division college schools like they were 5 and 6 years ago. So what I'm getting at is you have to understand that your team is playing a team, and that team is that like Arkansas played Alabama A&M. Well, like that's Alabama A&M Super Bowl. So it's like they're preparing for Arkansas for like weeks and almost a month on specific game plans when Arkansas just wants to come out, run their base defense, run plays that are going to get them in scoring positions and like get out of the game with no injuries and to look good. Because at the end of the day, if Arkansas won by 14 or Arkansas won by 50, like a win's a win. Like let's chalk it off and keep going because you have games later on in the schedule that you don't want to give up all your plays. And it's not just for Arkansas, that's for everybody, unless you played a ranked team or you were like Alabama that played Florida State. And it's like, well, we got to play. If that makes sense on a kind of a surface level standpoint.
Well, and from Arkansas's perspective, they played an inferior opponent, and they got big games coming up. We do play Ole Miss in 2 weeks, and then we go to Memphis, and then so it's like we don't want to give away everything right now. Quickly on that
Exactly.
game before we get head deep into everything. I will say I was very impressed with Taylon Green's ability to throw the ball yesterday. He didn't put a lot of balls in bad spots. I thought it was what you needed to see. Maybe not. Obviously, I'm not going to pick Arkansas to win the national championship after beating Alabama A&M. But as far as getting into this season and maybe actually seeing an improvement, kind of how I talked about all off season, like you want to see him be able to stand in the pocket and deliver the ball and run the offense, and there not really be any hiccups as far as that goes. That's what I wanted to see as an Arkansas fan. So let's kind of get into it though. Friday night we had Auburn, Baylor, and Georgia Tech, Colorado. Let's kind of talk about Auburn, Baylor first. I couldn't really watch this game, really watch it, because it was on Fox. And unless you have local channels or you're going to spend $100 a month, it's hard to watch Fox games sometimes. I did get to watch a little bit of it illegally, just out myself on that. And I don't know. It looked like Auburn was the superior, talented team. Kind of. Auburn didn't do anything that really blew me away. They kind of kept themselves in the game. But like every time Baylor would kind of get back in it, felt like Auburn would just punch them in the mouth again. Kind of like a more talented team would. Um, but that's all I really have on that. I mean, I didn't really get to watch that game and really focus on it the way I would have wanted to. What did you kind of see from that game?
Yeah, so I got to watch it, and I was kind of it was hard because they put that game and the Georgia Tech game on at the same. It was on at the same time, so it was like you kind of had to choose one to really focus on. Well, I tried to split them just so I could kind of see. Um, they really utilized Jackson Arnold the way that I think he was supposed to be utilized at Oklahoma. Um, they ran him a lot more than they did at Oklahoma, but Hugh Freeze didn't really put him in a situation to where like we're gonna make you push the ball down the field, if that makes sense. It was more like dink and dunk. We have some of the best receivers in the country. Let's let them make plays. There was like a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, so that was like huge. That's a score. And then it was very. I would say it was vanilla, but there was a little spice involved too. It was more like let's let Jackson Arnold get easy reads, let him make some completions. If it's not there, take off and run. Because I think he rushed for like 80 yards, maybe. Maybe it was less than that. But I mean, I expected it to be low scoring, honestly, from everything that I heard. They didn't know who their offensive coordinator was. They didn't know who their quarterback was, but obviously that's Hugh Freeze just blowing smoke up people's ass. So it made me look like an idiot. But obviously, me and Mason aren't like crazy insiders that go around to college football stadiums and talk to coaches individually. So, I mean, I thought it was a good game. I thought Baylor looked good. I just felt like Auburn kind of had Baylor's number, and it showed that Auburn is going to be a halfway decent football team. Now, this is week one, so like obviously I'm not going to go out and put Auburn in my top 10 just because they beat Baylor, but it gives you something to look forward to. And it's not like they won off of Baylor mistakes. I felt like they really capitalized, and if there were mistakes, they were minor on both parts. I didn't feel like, Baylor's quarterback came out and threw like 6 interceptions and all that. Like I felt like Auburn just genuinely outplayed them.
Well, and kind of looking at the box score of that game here, it was kind of like a showcase of. Well, I had it pulled up. It was a showcase of Jackson Arnold's legs, though, which you really didn't get to see a whole lot of whenever he was at Oklahoma. But I also think that that's a big deal with Auburn has a competent offensive coordinator, and I don't think I don't think Oklahoma did last year. I mean, he only went 108 yards throwing the ball, rushing the ball. He had 16 carries for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, it definitely wasn't a thing of Jackson Arnold wowing you with his arm. I mean, he made plays whenever plays were necessary in the past game, but most of the plays he made were with his legs. It was. I just feel like Auburn was the more talented team. I mean, it just came down to that, and it showed. I will say Sawyer Robertson. I did watch the highlights, and like I said, I did keep up with the game a little bit. Sawyer Robertson, he did throw a lot of incompletions, but 419 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he definitely has an arm on him. If they can, I mean, I'm sure that they're going to play some cupcake soon. He'll probably put up crazy stats, and we'll be super impressed with him again. I definitely thought that was a good showing for the Baylor offense. They just couldn't win it, and that's okay. Let's kind of get into Colorado and Georgia Tech here. I was like super upset at the beginning of this game. Georgia Tech come out. Sorry, I'm speaking like I can't today. Georgia Tech came out and they fumbled the ball twice and threw a pick, but through all of that, in that first quarter, Colorado only came out with 7 points. Georgia Tech out-physicaled them the entire game. Georgia Tech did almost exactly what you wanted Georgia Tech to do if you were looking for them to be that sleeper in the ACC. And we're going to talk about that later. I think I said it in the offseason. I think the ACC is a two-bid league. I don't think the Big 12 is. But that race might have tightened up when we get into Florida State. I still think Clemson's a good football team. I still think Clemson's going to win the conference. But Georgia Tech, as far as like what you wanted to see from Georgia Tech, you wanted to see, um, oh, what's his name? Their quarterback,
Haynes King.
Haynes King. You wanted to see Haynes King be able to make some throws. Now he did miss a few, which I don't think anyone that's ever watched Haynes King before is surprised at him missing throws. But with his legs, he was electric again. Their defense flew around to the ball, and they never really like let Colorado get away from them. Like even whenever they were down, and then whenever they were in the lead, I mean, Colorado did play a good football game. Caden Slater played pretty all right, but they never let it get out of reach, and they set themselves up to win. And then Haynes King run that 45-yard touchdown at the end of the game to win it. I mean, it was impressive to me. I think Colorado is also a good football team. What did you kind of think about that game?
Yeah, I think Colorado is good. I think Caden Salters. I think he's I think he's what Colorado needs, honestly. Coming into his first start, or not his first start, but his first start at Colorado, I think he looked good. I mean, he 17 for 28, so that's not great. 160 yards, like whatever. I don't feel like either team really had that guy that showed out besides Hank King's running the ball. Um, I just think Colorado's about what they were last year. I don't feel like, obviously you're going to miss Travis Hunter. I think Caden Salters could be better than Sanders personally. I mean,
Shador?
yeah, Shador. And that just comes down to I don't think Dion's going to try to put too much on him like he tried to put on Shador. Now over to the Georgia Tech side of the ball. Now you can take this with a grain of salt because obviously in week one I think I might have had 2 bets hit. So obviously I'm not somebody that you just want to follow down the betting path. But I would take Haynes King over touchdowns every week, and I would take him over rushing yards every week. And I guarantee by the end of the season, you're probably going to come out on top. If you just stay truthful to it, bet 1 unit on Haynes King over touchdowns, bet 1 unit on Haynes King rushing yards. I felt like Georgia Tech was exactly what we thought they were going to be. Their defense gave up a little bit, but you got to also understand, Colorado does have talent like your Florida States. They do have talent. I just feel like they don't have the talent to put together, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I probably in this game, if you go blue chip ratio, which is your 5 stars and 4 stars come through your whole team, I'm sure Colorado's probably a more talented team. So but Georgia Tech looked good against them. That's the thing. Georgia Tech is going to keep a game ugly. Could I see Georgia Tech beating a Clemson? Yeah, I could. Just because of their play style, what they like to do, and obviously we're going to get into it in a little bit, but LSU did what they wanted to when it came to running the ball against Clemson, which is exactly what Georgia Tech likes to do. So they play, I think, in 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, I could see Georgia Tech, being something good in the ACC. Like you said, we kind of knew that that's how the ACC was going to be. Now, Florida State surprised us. We'll have to see what they are later in the season. But, I mean, there wasn't really anything Georgia Tech did that I was like, oh, crap, I didn't expect that. Like you said, Haynes King's not going to go out and throw for 340 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's probably going to rush for roughly the same amount of yards he throws for. Georgia Tech is going to rely on running the ball, catching people off guard with their pass plays, and just play hard-nosed defense and try to slow the clock down because they understand that most of the time, they're going to play a team that is more talented than them when the game matters, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything there's to say about that game. Let's get into the big ones that happened on Saturday. So obviously, the first big one, Texas, Ohio State. Ohio State defends home field and beats Texas 14-7. What did you? Okay, let's talk about the Ohio State side first. I want to talk about the winners before we talk about the losers. What did you kind of think? What did you take away from the game?
I mean, here's the thing, Mason. We wake up in the morning and we piss excellence, So, no, on a real note, though, I was really surprised with Julian saying. I stuck around and, well, I like kind of listening to what the coaches say. That would be one thing too for a lot of you college football fans that like, either you're really excited about the game plan and like how the game turned out, or even if you're not, like if you're kind of lackluster on the way that the game went, like stick around and listen to what the coach says after the game because like you go through the stat line for Julian Sand. I mean, he was 13 for 20 for 126 yards and a touchdown. Now, 4 of those 7 incompletions were drops. Me and Mason watched them. I mean, Jeremiah Smith had probably one of the worst days he could have, not yardage wise or what he did when he caught the ball, but he had 3 drops, and then our tight end had an awful drop. So those are 4 drops right there that Julian Sand had, but he looked good. I mean, I thought that he was very, poised in the pocket. He went through his reads good, which is everything you could ask for a starting quarterback, especially after the fact you listened to Ryan Day talk about it. They dumbed the game plan down, which I kind of expected them to do that because it's like you don't want to send your first year starting quarterback, pretty much a freshman. I mean, he's been in big moments, but he's never played. You don't want to send them in, and then what happens? You open up the whole playbook for him, and he goes out and throws 15 incompletions and 2 interceptions, and then his whole confidence is ruined. Because you got to think, this is still a 19-year-old kid playing in front of 126, or 110,000 people and 15 million watching on TV. Like, there's pressure there. It doesn't matter who you are. So I was really happy with that, especially after I heard what Ryan Day said. I know he missed a pass to Jeremiah Smith on like the 4th down that Max Clare dropped. But other than that, I mean, I like the way he looked. Our rushing attack didn't look good. We rushed for 89 yards, which against Texas, whatever. I would like to have seen that be better, but that kind of also goes into Julian Sand wasn't really pushing the ball down the field. So if you're throwing short passes, you're allowing more people to come up in the box to stop the run. I thought they ran the ball when they needed to, and they didn't get away from it. That's the main thing. Ryan Day in the past, if the run game is not clicking, he just gets away from it and ditches it. And I felt like they did a good job. There wasn't too many plays to where they ran the ball and it was negative yardage. There was a few, but then it seemed like they were always leaning forward, always getting a yard. I know C.J. Donaldson coming in from West Virginia, he looked good. 19 rushes for 67 yards. I think that's like 4 yards a carry maybe. So nothing crazy. Our wide receivers looked about like we thought. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith dropped the ball a bunch, but other than that, I can't complain. Carnell Tate had a crazy catch in the end zone. So I was really pleased with the way our offense played, especially after I heard what Ryan Day said about dumbing down the play calling. And then our defense, man, I mean, there's nothing to say. I don't feel like we really missed a beat. Obviously, I would have loved to get more pressure on Arch Manning, but we got enough pressure to make him feel uncomfortable. Maybe it wasn't sacks, but when you're playing against a competent quarterback, they're going to get rid of the ball even if they necessarily don't want to. I think we sacked him one time. I was really pleased with both coordinators since we replaced them. If it comes out that Brian Hartline called the plays, I'm hoping he did because he called a really good game plan. Defensively, Matt Patricia dialed some stuff up that, like, I think it really put Arch Manning and Steve Sarkisian in a blender, which is what I want him to do. Like, we have the athletes on the field. Just put them in scenarios to cause havoc on the offensive coordinator of the opponent. Other than that, man, I mean, obviously there was things we needed to work on. I would have loved to work on a lot of things. Going in through these next 3 weeks, we got to play Washington, which is our first big game after 2 weeks. But, I mean, I was happy. Obviously, we beat the #1 team in the country, so you can't complain. But if you want to nitpick and you want to be a crazy fan, there are things that I could see like us wanting to improve on.
Yeah, and I think it was very apparent that this was a week 1 game. Ohio State had a lot of drop passes, some I don't know if it was missed assignments, maybe like on that touchdown he was kind of long, and then in that lead or that drive leading up to them stopping them on that fourth down. Like, they did let up some drives. But Texas just kind of didn't never make the play. Um, and it was again a thing of Ohio State's goal line defense was just like it was last year. That's what the fifth one we've seen since last
Yeah.
year. So it wasn't surprising to me. Texas stopped the run pretty well. I mean, it was that's just what it was. They just couldn't. I expected them to score the ball a little bit more than they did, and it was a good win for Ohio State. They should. I mean, game at home, defending national champions. That was a good win.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
and and here's my question too, Mason. So let's just take names out of it. I give you this stat line. Oh, or I mean, we can put a name on it. Let's say Julian saying against Texas, number one coming in team, or even if it was against an opponent, because Ohio State's they're number three in the team. You know what I mean? Like we're returning a lot of defensive production. Ohio State's defense is good. You just take a random guy and put him on Texas. He plays against Ohio State with the defense that they have, and he goes 17 for 30 for 170 yards, a touchdown, and an incompletion. And then he also rushes for 38 yards. First time in a big game start on the road. First time starting on the road. Would you be pleased with that performance?
Yeah. I mean, I would be fine with it.
And I think that's what a lot of people lose out on, and I hate it that they did this, but like everybody thought Arch Manning was the truth. He was coming in, he was going to be crazy good, he was going to be, everything everybody wanted him to be. And me and you were kind of over here talking like, hey, let's pump the brakes, let's see what he does. Like, yes, he played in games last year, but they weren't any crazy games that he played in. So it's like, let's see what he does. And obviously, we could tell the arm talent was there. He just missed some throws. Now, I'll say this too. Texas's last quarterback. Sorry, I'm getting a call. Texas' last quarterback had all the arm talent in the world, had everything you wanted in a quarterback. But guess what? He couldn't make the throws. So we'll see if Arch Manning leads up to what everybody thinks he's going to be. But for people to be crucifying him and thinking that he's just not a good player, I don't feel like it's fair because I think this is probably going to be the best defense he sees all year long.
Yeah, and I definitely I don't think I don't think Texas's offensive coordinator really put him in a great spot.
No.
Um, he didn't really get an opportunity to make a lot of plays, and like Julian Sand was set up for success in that game, even though it was a lot of short passes and kind of leaning on the run game. Um, I mean, it set him up for success, and Arch was running for his life at times because it was concepts further down the field. I think you'll see way better future performances, coming up for Arch Manning than you did in that game.
Yeah, I do not want to see Texas again. I'll just be upfront and honest. I don't want to see Texas again. If we do, we're 2-0 against them, whatever. But I feel like if they can get some things clicking, it's going to be really hard to mess with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then let's kind of get into our next game here. The next one I want to kind of talk about is Florida State, Alabama. That was, I mean, surprise of the day, kind of. Castellanos coming into that game was talking about how he just doesn't see a way that Alabama stops him. Oh, guess what? He was right. They couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop the run game. He was doing kind of whatever he wanted. And what it was like screaming to me is like, if you take the Florida State uniform off, you take Doak Campbell, you move all that to Auburn, Alabama, that looks like a Gus Malzahn masterclass. They ran the ball, controlled the game, let their quarterback make plays. They let their defense just attack Alabama. And then whenever they got the ball, they did the exact same thing. I mean, that I've watched that game before. Is kind of what I'm saying. That was a Gus Malzahn masterclass. Very impressed with Florida State. Very impressed with their physicality and their athletes. And I could see this being a team, which I don't want to overreact to week one, but I could see if this continues, this is a team that could win the ACC. I mean, I don't think Alabama is a bad football team necessarily. But I think Florida State is a good football team. Like I think Florida State, they look like the whole part to me. They have athletes all over the field, and they put them in situations where they succeeded, and they beat Alabama by 14 points season opener. What was your reaction to it?
Uh, if you didn't like Tommy Castellanos before, I would stay off Twitter and I wouldn't go listen to anything that he's talking about on any kind of podcast, social media, anything, because he's going to be insufferable. Which I mean, rightfully so. I mean, he looked very lackluster passing the ball, but he didn't make mistakes. He had 152 yards with 5 incompletions against Alabama and their defense that they're returning. You can't complain about that. Florida State did what they wanted to, run the ball, which is kind of Gus Malzahn's kind of like thing that he does. He loves running the ball. They rushed for 240 yards as a team against Alabama. And then their defense played lights out. I think that was the main thing I was most surprised about, was how good their defense played. Obviously, their offense was good too. I don't want to take anything away from that, but them holding Alabama to 17 points, and it's not just the 17 points that they held them to. They held Alabama to under 100 yards rushing, which Alabama coming into the season was kind of thought of as like, okay, their offensive line is good, and they have decent running backs. Like they're probably going to run the ball and put Ty Simpson in situations to where he can throw the ball when he wants to. But obviously, when you're down the whole game, you're not going to be able to run the ball too much. So that was kind of that. I was really impressed, which me and you kind of talked about Tommy Castellanos before anyways, that we liked him. Obviously, I don't think he's a quarterback that either one of me or you would want to have on our team being our starting quarterback. But to watch him play is just a fun, like, it's fun to watch. It's very video game-esque. Run around, throw the ball. He's going to make mistakes, but then his upside capitalizes off those mistakes. But other than that, I was really impressed. I was really impressed all the way across the board for Florida State. Alabama, on the other hand, I'll hold my hand up. This is one of the games that I got wrong in a big time way. I thought Alabama was going to come in and cover the spread, which I got it at like 13.5. Obviously, that was completely wrong. I should have taken Florida State to win by 14. Alabama did not look good at all. Ty Simpson, very, very extremely lackluster. Now, me and Mason watched the game together, but then like when it started getting ugly, and the Arkansas game was on at the same time, so we weren't just undivided to the Alabama game. And Mason ended up leaving, so I watched it for a little bit and then turned it off because it got kind of out of hand. There for a second, Alabama came within 1 touchdown, and it seemed like every time Alabama would come back through, Florida State would answer. So it made it a very not fun game to watch because it seemed like it was always out of hand. And it was hard because I almost think I watched it longer than I would have if it was any other team, because it's hard to get that Nick Saban Alabama out of your head. Like 5 minutes left to go in the fourth. It's like, oh, well, they're down by 14. They can still come back. But I don't know, with them being down the whole game, I don't know how much Ty Simpson, how much it has to do with him not being good, because obviously they're throwing the ball a lot. So Florida State could have rushed 3 and dropped 8 and made it extremely hard. But he had under 50% completion percentage. I mean, or if it wasn't under, it was right around 50%. He didn't throw any interceptions. It's just like it didn't seem like he was taking command of the offense. It just looked bad. They only rushed for 87 yards, which is abysmal. You can't do that in that high scoring of a game because you're pretty much turning your offense into one dimensional. And I think, was it them that made the bad mistake? I forgot what team it was. It might have been them that made the bad mistake. Or no, never mind. I'll talk about it later. It was freaking Clemson LSU. Sorry. I'll bring it up later because it didn't make any sense to me. And then their defense, I mean, I can't say their defense looked good either. They gave up 260-something yards rushing, 236 yards rushing. So it's like Alabama across the board did not look what everybody expected them to be. but I almost wonder, like, were they overrated? That's pretty much what I grasped from it was Florida State outplayed them, Florida State outcoached them, and Florida State looked like they were just the better team, top to bottom, all the way across.
What do you kind of think the Alabama fan reaction is like? Do you think they're already calling for DeBoer's head?
1,000%. Yeah. I mean, but that's kind of the problem when you come up and you replace the greatest college football coach of all time. I mean, you're going to be in a situation to where, like, you're never going to be around, like, that mountaintop. Even though DeBoer's a really good coach, I just think he got put into a crappy situation, which that's his fault for taking the job. If I was him, I would have stayed at Washington probably. But, yeah, they're definitely calling for his head, especially they didn't make it to the playoffs last year. They lost to Michigan in the bowl game, and I know some people say bowl games don't matter, and they don't. But Michigan, all of Michigan's stars went to the NFL, and Alabama played all their starters like Jalen Milroe and all them, and they still lost. And then they come out in their season opener. Yes, it's on the road, but it was a super ugly game for Alabama. And, like, yes, they only lost by 14, but it was not. It should have been more. It was not a pretty loss.
Yeah, and honestly, it was just a thing of like Alabama talent-wise is one of the top talented teams in the country, compositely ranked, and they just looked like they weren't. Like and it might have been an effort thing, you could say, because Florida State had 8 people on every Alabama run play, and Thomas Castellanos could just do whatever he wanted. They were throwing the ball all over them at times. Like, it just wasn't. It was not at all impressive or like what you thought you would see out of Alabama. And it was kind of the same thing as last year. I mean, Alabama would like come in to a game with a bunch of hype, and then they would just crap down their legs and not stop the run and look like they didn't have a sense of urgency. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll see how they turn this around. I mean, they could still win the SEC, I guess. I mean, but with efforts like that, I don't see it.
No,
we're gonna have to see a lot different Alabama from here on out, effort wise. It appears,
Yeah, and that's a big worry because you don't know if those players are actually going to buy back in or if they're just going to write it off.
Right. Let's kind of talk about Tennessee versus Syracuse. Tennessee won the game 45-26. Joey Aguilar went 16 for 28, 247 yards and 3 touchdowns. They ran for 248 yards. They did have some turnovers, but for the most part, they controlled the game the entire time. At half, it was like 31-14, and then after that, it was just cruise control for Tennessee. What's your reaction to Joey Aguilar and kind of just Tennessee kind of coming out and controlling that game? We kind of didn't know what to expect from Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was a lot higher on Tennessee than a lot of people, just because I thought Tennessee's DNA last year was running the ball and defensive play. And I feel like that's exactly what they did in this game. I mean, they held Syracuse to 103 yards rushing, and then they were able to run the ball. They had 2 rushers that were very close to running for 100 yards. They rushed for almost 250 yards against Syracuse. And, yeah, Syracuse isn't a great team, but they're still an ACC opponent. It's an out-of-conference opponent game. I felt like Joey Aguilar looked good, too. I mean, that kind of ties into the whole Josh Heupel offense. Like, when's the last time that you had a quarterback come in and didn't look confident? Like, I guess Joe Milton was the last one, but Joe Milton
had a pretty good year, really.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Joe Milton was looked at before he became the starter as somebody that, like, yeah, he can throw the ball far, but he has a lot of stuff to work on. I feel like Josh Heupel knows how to take a mediocre quarterback and turn them into something that can make his offense go. And I don't really know why, but I was really high on Tennessee. I thought Tennessee was going to be a good team. I thought Tennessee was going to make some things work out. Obviously, that depended a lot on Joey Aguilar, But like you said, I mean, 250 yards and 3 touchdowns, you can't complain about that. And by the way that the rest of the SEC played this week, I mean, you might be in the running for, top
The
three, top
rest.
two.
Two teams lost. Two teams lost. That's all I'm saying. And we didn't lose to Tulane.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Tulane's good though.
They are good.
But
That
no,
was
that's
very
pretty much
impressive.
yeah, that's pretty much all I have on them. I mean, I think they did kind of what I expected them to do. I didn't expect Joey Aguilar to come out and be that good, but I did expect their defense to come up and their run game to kind of show out.
Well, and like kind of looking forward to Tennessee, like you're gonna learn exactly what you need to know about Tennessee in 2 weeks because it's September 13th. Georgia comes to play in Neyland. So yes, Joey Aguilar looked good. The run game looked good. Syracuse ain't Georgia. I mean, I like Fran Brown. They had a fun offense to watch last year. They had a fun offense to watch in that game, but you're going to learn about Tennessee very, very early. And that's not to say that to write them off after Georgia probably beats them. But I do think that we'll see kind of how they react after that because everything's good and everyone's happy when you win. It's kind of the opposite
Exactly.
whenever you're losing. Let's speak of another big game that kind of happened after my computer stops lagging way behind. LSU Clemson, if I can find it. I was going to read some of the box score. There it is.
I got you. You got it.
Yeah, I pulled it up. So LSU Clemson. LSU goes into Clemson, South Carolina, and controls the second half. It was a 10-3 game at the half. Second half, LSU defense smothered Clemson. Garrett Nussmeier made a lot of plays in that second half. It really actually impressed me a lot. Cade Durham went 17 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Their run game looked pretty good to me. It was a really impressive performance. I'm going to eat crow. I don't necessarily think that this was just a Garrett Nussmeier being anointed, but I do think that as a team, LSU definitely put a lot of resources into what I thought were their deficiencies last year. Their offensive line played a lot better. Their run game looked a lot more consistent. Garrett Nussmeier didn't put them in any compromising positions, and their defense attacked Clemson, which I thought would be a completely different story. I thought we would be looking at this the other way around. But I thought it was very impressive. The second half, I was really impressed with LSU's defense. I mean, they never gave Clemson a chance to actually catch up and breathe and get any kind of headway and make any kind of moves going forward in that game. What did you kind of think?
I kind of thought the same thing. It's another thing that I got to eat crow too, obviously. Me and Mason were kind of the same on this game. We thought Clemson was going to well, no, I think that was a Miami game that I said they were going to come out and get dog walked. So I don't think I'm so bad on this one. But I did say that Clemson was going to come out and embarrass LSU. And that's my fault. I'll hold my hand up on that one. It seems like I got to check my pulse and make sure I'm still alive. But does LSU have a defense? Is that what I kind of picked up from this game? LSU kind of has a defense. I mean, and the offense, Garrett Nussmeier, he looked good. I wouldn't say that he was somebody that blew you away, but at the same time, if you're going to give grace to Julian Sand and Arch Manning for playing against top defenses, I mean, talent-wise, Clemson does have a top defense. So Garrett Nussmeier going 28 for 38 for 230 yards and a touchdown, that's a good day against a top defense. Obviously, there was probably some throws in there that he wanted back. I think the main thing was their rushing yards. They rushed for 110 yards, which is good. I mean, obviously, both stat lines on the offensive side for both teams weren't really astronomical, but I think that kind of ties into defensive play. And LSU looked good, honestly. I mean, they looked like a good team. They looked like, I mean, if you're just going off week one, obviously you can't judge anything else, but they looked like a top team in the SEC. Them and Tennessee both looked really good. Obviously, they both played ACC opponents, and they kind of drug the ACC opponents. I know LSU only won by 7 points, but if you actually sat down and watched that game, that second half, LSU controlled it all the way through. Like, they didn't even give anybody a linger of a doubt, because every time Clemson's defense stood up, LSU stood up even taller, and that was kind of the point of the whole game. And Clemson on offense was just very like lackluster. Cade Klubnik, he threw for the same amount of yards as Nussmeier, but he had 10 less incompletions or 9 less incompletions. And that's a big deal. I mean, so you get some of those incompletions back, you don't know what way the game's going to go. But, I mean, LSU DBs were playing out of their mind. They held Clemson rushing the ball, which, I mean, me and you never really thought Clemson was going to be a crazy rushing team this year because they really weren't last year. But they held Clemson to 32 yards rushing, which is absolutely awful. I mean, I don't see. I mean, like I said, it's got to be something. I don't even know what to say. I didn't expect LSU to have a defense. I mean, I expected them to be halfway decent. They had Harold Perkins and Weeks and the other Weeks and, all of them. So I knew that they had talent. But, I mean, for the last 4 years, you would have thought that, LSU's defense wouldn't have showed up this year. But obviously they got something clicking. They only gave up 230 yards passing and 32 yards rushing. So they didn't even give up 300 yards of total offense, which is crazy speaking because it's against Clemson, which is the number 4 team in the country that probably has the second best receiving corps in the country, and they have Cade Klubnik. So to hold them to what they did, big props to LSU's defense. And I mean, I hope for Minor Mason's Buddy Stakes it kind of stays that way. I know they. I kind of figured you would.
I'm so tired of hearing about that already. I'm tired of hearing about LSU. Golly. I think a big part of it was I was disappointed in Cade Klubnik. I was disappointed in Clemson's offensive line. I mean, they didn't give him very much time at all. He was running for his life. I guarantee you if there's any pictures in the newspaper, it's going to be Cade Klubnik with a guy on his back. But I think LSU should have won that game by more. I mean, they kind of got screwed on a touchdown call. I don't know what they constitute as a touchdown catch anymore. That was crazy.
Well, they called that one a touchdown. They called the one against Ohio State Texas game a touchdown, but then they called that one an incompletion, and I felt like that one was more of a touchdown than the Texas one.
It was just an odd call. I didn't get that. And Clemson legit. I don't know if they got how many first downs do you think they got in the second half? 4 the whole time.
I mean, maybe. It couldn't have been very many. When you keep talking about it, I'll kind of look into it.
It was a very miserable performance from the Clemson offense in the second half. But again, LSU did invest in Blake Baker. Last year, their defense did improve from the year before, and then obviously this year they look way improved. I hate to say it, but I think the Tigers could be a team to look out for this year. But they do play a really tough schedule. They have before Halloween they play 5 more good quality football teams. So it's kind of a wait and see thing. I don't think Clemson has quite the tall task in front of them that LSU does. So we'll just kind of see how this goes. Penn State looked good. Gerald looked good yesterday. I'm just trying to think of who else I kind of kept an eye on. Penn State, they looked real good yesterday, but they were playing Nevada. Texas A&M did not look that good. Thank God. Hate those guys. Oregon looked pretty good yesterday. Dante Moore looked, 18 for 23, 213 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pretty good day. Kansas State, that was who I wanted to talk about. My Big 12 champion looks abysmal. They look awful.
Yeah, they didn't look good.
3-point win. What are we doing? I didn't get to watch the game because I thought it was foregone conclusion. But Avery Johnson goes 28 for 43, 318. I mean, they were losing at the half. You know, I mean, and
Yeah.
That's not North Dakota State either. That's
No.
North Dakota. That's not the So it was just I don't
Mason,
know.
here was my thing and I'm not trying to drag us back to the LSU Clemson game because I was just going through the play by plays or the play by plays, just kind of seeing um, what happened and how many first downs they got. Well, Clemson had 76 yards in the second half um, before their last drive. Now, I take away the last drive because me and Mason talked about it. When a team is up, usually they'll play like prevent defense and let you get all the way down to the red zone and then try to kind of snub you out so they don't give up an explosive play. But I was looking at it because this was what I was going to ask you about. So, Clemson was driving the field. They drove the field all the way down. It was 3rd and 4 on the LSU 15 incomplete pass, and then it was 4th and 4 on LSU 15 with 59 seconds left to go, and they didn't have a timeout. Well, I don't really, and they threw the ball to the middle of the field. I don't understand why Clemson didn't just kick the field goal and then go for an onside kick. I mean, because then you're winning the game. You're not playing for like a tie to go into overtime, and you're getting, you know what I mean? Like you're getting the ball back, if that makes sense. I don't know. That was just my opinion. I probably would have just kicked the field goal and hoped for an onside kick because it wasn't even like they went for the end zone. You know what I mean? Like I think it was just a coaching mess up by Dabo Sweeney personally, but that was
How
just me
much time
watching
was
the
there
game.
left? Because I thought that was like end of the game.
I mean, it pretty much was the end of the game. It was there was 59 seconds left.
No timeouts. I think you got to go for it.
See, the only reason I say I wouldn't go for it is, and maybe it looked worse because of the play call, if that makes sense. I think the play call was just very it was like they weren't attacking the sidelines, they weren't trying to get out of bounds. Like it was a very bad play. It was like middle of the field, like slant pass, and yeah, if he would have got the first down, but it would have put you in a scenario. I don't know. I just didn't like the play call there. Honestly, it wasn't like they went for the end zone.
Well, their offense just did not look good in the second half at all.
No,
So I
no.
think it's kind of all
But
attributed up to that.
yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to
Oh
tie that
no,
back in
you're
because
good.
that was a
I was
question
just
that I
kind of
had.
going through some of the other stuff. Oh, Austin Simmons looked really good yesterday for Ole Miss,
Yeah, he
especially in
did.
that second half.
Texas
Indiana
Tech.
had. I
Yeah,
didn't even. I
Texas.
didn't. I didn't even see
I,
the Texas Tech game at all.
I didn't watch it. I just seen the box score. And I mean, at the end of the day, like if you put up 67 on a team, it doesn't matter what team that is, like you're doing something right. Their
Oh,
quarterback
against
had
Arkansas Palm Bluff.
their quarterback. Well, the main thing is their quarterback only had 2 incompletions. They rushed for 300 yards. Like I said, I'm excited for Texas Tech. Obviously, you can't tell too much about it, but when you're putting up almost 70 points a game, you're looking pretty good. The other quarterback that I would say looked good, let me find it because I don't want to mess up the box score, was I really thought Rocco Beck looked good, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't see his box score. Oh, here it is. He had 1 incompletion. 19 for 20 for 278 yards and 3 touchdowns. Um, and then he rushed for 15 yards. So he had, over 300 yards total offense with 1 incompletion. I mean, like I said, like those are the things that you look for when your team is playing an inferior opponent. Like you're not looking for oh, we ran up the score, 45-17. Like, yeah, that's cool. Look at your players and see what they do. Like, how many incompletions do they have? How many rushing yards do they have per attempt? Like stuff like that is what's going to tell you how good your team is.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm about to do. I'm about to go look at the Bryce Underwood highlights. I didn't get to watch that game, but
Yeah,
from the
then either
box
that
score,
crap kind of worries me too. I'm not gonna lie, because
21
if
of
they get
31,
if
251.
Yeah, if they have a passing offense with that defense that they have, that's going to be kind of scary.
But yeah, that's all I got for as far as the reaction. I think it was a fun day of watching football. I think it's going to be another fun day. 2 o'clock, you got
Yep.
South Carolina, Virginia Tech,
Which is an
and then
absolute. Hang on,
it's,
let me
yeah, it
calm
is
down
it
before
is
I
an
start cussing on
injustice.
this thing. Like, I just want everybody that watches the show to close your eyes and just think about South Carolina going into Virginia Tech, Enter Sandman playing, the crowd going crazy, or flip that, Virginia Tech going into South Carolina, which is one of the most hostile environments in the not just the SEC in the country. But guess what? No, we got screwed, and we're getting it in Atlanta, which is an absolute disservice to the country because you've seen the Ohio State game yesterday. Like that's what, or and the LSU game and the Alabama game. Like that's what this game would have been like, but they chose to do it in Atlanta, which is absolute bullshit to me.
And then we do get a home game, Notre Dame, Miami. That's going to be a great atmosphere. So yeah, it's going to be another good day. And then Monday we got more football. So it's going to be a good one. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Catch us on Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. and then Sundays, every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. I don't know. We'll see you. We'll see you Thursday. Kind of talk about what we expect to come. We should have a better uniform show because we don't have to talk about games that are currently going on during our Thursday show,
Yeah,
games
for
that'll
sure.
happen Friday, games that'll happen during our Sunday. So it'll be a lot better. We'll be able to kind of talk about everything in its vastness, and because we'd have 2 more games to talk about if everything was played on Saturday with the Notre Dame and then the South Carolina games. So like it would just in North Carolina TCU, we'd have 3 more games, so it would definitely be a little bit longer of a show. But we're excited. I'm really excited for the football today, especially.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think today is like because usually you have Saturday and then the kind of like your weekend's over. You don't really have anything to look forward to, but it's like no, we have 2 more. I mean, theoretically, we have 1 more day of college football. By the time you wake up, get out of church, get around, do everything you need to do, the game's coming on at 2 o'clock, and then there's a night game. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get into the season and talk about more games because once we get all these cupcake games out of the way, it's going to be great. Um,
Mhm.
like Mason said, just make sure you like and subscribe and turn that bell notification on too because some people forget that we go live on Sunday kind of reaction, and you don't want to wake up Tuesday, Wednesday morning and be like, oh, I'm ready to watch their, preview show. And we already have a show out reacting to your team winning or losing, or, one of us dying on a hill that we didn't want to, or one of us eating crow about some stuff that we obviously got wrong. So make sure you do that and just, tell a buddy, tell a friend, like, me and Mason like doing this. We're going to do it regardless, but it's a lot more fun when you have about 100 people in here watching you talking crap to you because their team beat a team that you thought they were going to lose to.
Yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. Y'all have a blessed Sunday. Have a good Labor Day weekend. Enjoy your Monday off, and we will see you Thursday.